G'day you mob, Pete here, and this is another episode of Aussie English, the number one place for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English. So today I have a Goss episode for you where I sit down with my old man, my father, Ian Smissen, and we talk about the week's news, whether locally down under here in Australia or non-locally overseas in other parts of the world. Okay, and we sometimes also talk about whatever comes to mind, right? If we can think of something interesting to share with you guys related to us or Australia, we also talk about that in the Goss. So these episodes are specifically designed to try and give you content about many different topics where we're obviously speaking in English and there are multiple people having a natural and spontaneous conversation in English. So it is particularly good to improve your listening skills. In order to complement that though, I really recommend that you join the podcast membership or the academy membership at aussieenglish.com.au, where you will get access to the full transcripts of these episodes, the PDFs, the downloads, and you can also use the online PDF reader to read and listen at the same time. Okay, so if you really, really want to improve your listening skills fast, get the transcript, listen and read at the same time, keep practicing, and that is the quickest way to level up your English. Anyway, I've been rabbiting on a bit. I've been talking a bit. Let's just get into this episode, guys. Smack the bird, and let's get into it. "20 Things to Never Do in Australia." I think you sent that to me, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Actually, that's worth doing.
Do you want to go through it? And we just
run through the list?
One?
I haven't got the list here, but that doesn't matter.
You
can run it. Yeah.
All right, so this is from escape.com.au. You guys can obviously just type in 20 things to never do in Australia and you'll be able to read this article. I haven't read it, so we can go through it.
Yeah, we'll just go through it at
cents.
random. Yeah.
All right, number one, don't underestimate the sun.
Yes.
We have, I'll read out the little one sentence underneath, or two sentences. "We have one of the world's highest incidents of skin cancer for a reason. And no, you're not a golden bronze. You're neon red, like an embarrassed lobster." So I guess this is a funny point to talk about. If you go to Byron Bay, right? Not Byron Bay. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of, what's the beach outside of Sydney that's really famous? Bondi. Jeez, brain fart. So if you go to Bondi, pretty much every time you go to Bondi, you're going to see someone from Great Britain,
or Germany,
probably Ireland, who is a redhead and is red all over because they have totally underestimated the sun.
Bondi lobsters, they call them.
Oh man, it's insane. I remember going there and seeing a whole bunch of guys and I was like, Jesus, that is going to hurt. So number one, don't underestimate the sun.
You're going to get sunburnt.
Why is that, Dad? Why do we have such a strong, powerful sun?
Well, firstly,
in
and we're talking about in comparison with Europe mostly. So we are a long way closer to the equator.
Yeah.
So the sun has to travel through less atmosphere to get to you. Secondly, we're in a hotter climate.
So you're more likely to want to be outside.
You're more likely to want to be outside and take your clothes off. Yeah. Although having spent a couple of summers in London, as soon as the temperature gets above about 16 degrees and the sun's out, everybody's ripped their clothes off and lying around on towels and rugs and deck chairs in Hyde Park and turning red there. So you can imagine what it's like when you get to Australia. And for a long time, I haven't looked at the recent results, but for a long time, certainly in southern Australia, we've had that hole in the ozone layer effect where we actually have, it's not a hole, but we have less ozone in the atmosphere sitting over southern Australia than they do in Europe, and therefore ozone is a great absorber of UV light, and so we get more. And UV is the thing that does the damage. Infrared light or heat is the thing that makes you feel hot, but the UV light is the one that does the damage to your skin.
And this is why you'll go to Bondi Beach and you will drive around and you'll see skin cancer clinic, skin cancer clinic, skin cancer clinic, where they are all set up to remove skin cancers. Yes. So, that was one of those things that I was like, you do have to respect the sun. I pretty much only go outside without sunscreen on between the hours of 10 and 4 o'clock without sunscreen. If it's probably like now, winter. No, winter is when I'll go out without the sunscreen.
From sort of May till October, you won't bother.
I don't worry as much. But in summer, you guys will feel it. You'll feel
but hey, I've got the Scottish suntan, join the dots, the pale skin with freckles. And I've actually lost count now. It's something like 7 or 8 skin cancers cut off, burnt off.
Jesus.
So
that's going to happen to me, I guess. But I guess you grew up in a time where
my parents' version of protection from the sun was don't go outside, but you went outside and to the point of, go out and early in the summer, the theory was go out and get sunburnt because that'll protect you because you'll get suntan. That'll protect you from the sun for the rest of the time. It's a complete myth. It doesn't. Yeah. But also it was, we'll protect you by putting oil on you. So you're basically cooking yourself. Go out and put oil on you and then lie in the sun. So no, not a good thing to do. Number 2.
Don't forget to thank you with a wave. Don't forget the thank you.
Yeah,
so thank you wave. Okay,
yeah, sorry. This is particularly driving.
Yes,
I
it
presume.
is. There's a guy in the car.
Yeah, this is the one where if you're driving in Australia and even if you're in the middle of a big city and you've got narrow road, cars parked on either side, and there's only room for one car. Somebody slows down or stops and lets you through. The polite thing to do is just to give them the wave, even if it's, I think they call it the one finger. Yeah, your hand on the steering wheel, you just do that. And even I do it all the time, and that makes me more irritated when somebody doesn't do it. When you're driving through, you go, well, fuck you, what do you? I just stopped to let you through. Yeah. All you have to do is that.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
Just show a bit of appreciation.
Yeah, and it's a very Australian thing to do. And the other thing too is particularly if you're in country Australia and you're driving around, you're driving at 100 kilometres an hour down the road and somebody else is driving 100 kilometres along the other side, often there'll be a narrow band of bitumen in the middle and you'll have to pull off slightly your wave. But otherwise, you just wave. You're driving past, go, hey, how you going? Yeah, and done. Mm-hmm. So it's a very Australian thing to do, the wave on the road.
Well, I have that all the time, especially when people cut you off or they do something wrong. If they don't wave, you're just like, oh, yeah, no worries, you fuckwit.
Yeah.
You get this instant. Whereas if they do wave, you're like, oh, no worries, all good.
Sorry, mate. Or hey, how you going? Yeah.
Yeah, Kel notices that in me all the time. She's always laughing.
Yeah, why are you waving?
Driving around. No, well, the waving thing, but then also when I get pissed
when somebody
off,
doesn't.
Yeah, or just you pull over, you give them space so that they can get through because they were there first and they don't wave and you're just like, no worries, you fuckwit.
Yeah, exactly.
Take me for granted. I just went out of my way to help. Yeah. Be polite. Number 3 is don't call rocket arugula, which I've never heard before. Arugula. I had never heard that word. Don't get the emphasis
arugula.
From. Arugula.
Yeah. So it's a very American thing.
It's an Americanism and an ironic one because for a nation that's at the forefront of space exploration, they can't bring themselves to use the word rocket. So apparently this is a salad that we have, and it's the one that's
a type of lettuce.
Sort of pointy. It's not the spinach type of salad, and you'll see it at all the hipster cafes in Australia.
Yeah.
But do you know why it's called rocket?
No.
Comes from the Italian word rucola.
Ah, there you go.
Which I probably just butchered. Number 4, don't order a cocktail when it's someone else's shout and they're on beer.
Oh, yeah.
Dad?
This is the shouting one, isn't it? It's a shout, as opposed to yelling at each other, is a generic noun.
Give me a shout. Ah!
Yeah, exactly. It's a generic noun for when more than one person is in a drinking institution.
Yeah.
You take turns in buying.
Yep.
And the tradition is that you would either, and back in my day, people all drank the same thing. You either drank beer or you would drink a spirit with a mix, like whiskey and Coke or Bundy and Coke, used to be the Bundaberg rum and Coke, whatever. And a glass of Bundaberg rum and Coke cost the same as a glass of beer, so it didn't matter. But it's that one when you go, oh, yeah, here, I'll buy you a beer. Or you buy me a beer and then you go, oh, what will you have? Oh, I'll take the fancy $25 cocktail, thanks.
And exactly. They're a lot of money. So don't be that guy.
Don't be that one.
Number 5. Don't attempt to climb the rock.
Yeah, well, you can't now.
Yeah, exactly. Uluru. So
Uluru, Ayers Rock.
That would have been October 2019 that got closed.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's offensive to the traditional owners of Uluru, and it's being closed down anyway, so you can't do it. Well, don't attempt to do it because it's being closed down.
Because it's being closed down and you'll fall off.
Yeah, and you've done it, Dad, back in the day.
Back in the day. I had to because I was with a group of school students.
Is it worth doing? Not that you can do it anymore?
You can't do it anymore. It's a really good view, but it's an extremely strenuous thing to do because you're climbing to 300 meters of vertical height, and for the first half of the climb, it's at about 45 degrees. So and you hand over hand along with a chain and stuff to get there. It's a great view, but for $50 to $100, you can get a helicopter ride or a plane ride and get an even better view.
So. Well, I was going to say, you're going to get a view of everything you didn't come there to see.
Yes.
You came there to see the rock, and that's the only thing you went
standing on. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
6, yes, our hourly wage is better than that of many countries, assuming that you are not getting cash in hand.
Yes.
I would imagine. So, yeah, we have a pretty good wage here, right? I mean, I remember working in a restaurant, and I was getting paid $26 to $30 an hour, including tips on top of that. So sometimes up to $36 an hour.
Yeah, $25 an hour, I think, is about the bare minimum now you can pay.
The only thing here is that you're probably not going to get tips very often, and you don't need to tip other people. It's just not
tipping
expected
is not
usually.
expected. So.
7, don't disregard warning signs, except one. It's not an ad for Lacoste. There are actual crocodiles in that water. And that's a joke because Lacoste's logo
is
for the
crocodile.
Yeah, exactly, for fashion items. Yes. And not the cute ones. Ditto jellyfish that do way worse than just sting.
Mm-hmm.
The only one to take no notice of is the one about drop bears. So, yeah.
Yes, drop bears are a mythical Australian animal.
This is a serious thing in Northern Australia. Even if you don't see signs, probably ask someone if it's safe to swim in water. Yeah.
And one of the real dangers is often they don't swim in here because there are crocodiles, will often not have a picture of a crocodile. Yeah, so the beware of crocodile sign is often not a crocodile. It's a picture of a person swimming with the red circle and the cross through it. And the real challenge there is that the red paint that they use on those fades more quickly than the black and white paint.
Yeah.
And so you'll end up with what was originally a picture of do not swim here that actually looks like a picture of a swimmer. So always ask. Well, even better than ask, if you're in Northern Australia, particularly on the East Coast, but even up in Northwestern Australia, but far fewer people go there because there's not a lot of ways of getting to it. But if you're in Northeastern Australia, in the tropics, don't swim in the water unless there are specific areas set aside to do it.
Well, and if you're in the ocean, wear a stinger suit.
Yeah, or again, in summer, don't.
Yeah. Number 8, don't ask someone, but where are you actually from? So do you want to talk about this one? Assume they're Australian and move on to a less cliched discussion.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that one? Because I feel a bit...
I think the word actually...
It is appropriate at times. Yeah, yes, actually changes
actually is the one that changes it. Because I ask that question all the time when it is quite obvious that the person, by their accent or their spoken English, is not a native speaker of English. Therefore, you can probably assume as an adult that they are not born in Australia.
Well, and it's interesting to mention that using the word actually there really changes the meaning of what you're saying.
Yeah. So if I ask Pete, where do you come from?
Yeah.
You could say Sydney,
or
you could say Brazil or Portugal or Lithuania. Whereas if I say, where are you actually from? Well, that means you're not really Australian, are you?
It sounds like an interrogation. It sounds like, or that you're misrepresenting where you're
not really Australian
from, or that's it. Where are you actually from? I don't think I've never heard anyone actually say that, to be honest. That seems like a bit of
actually is a...
Is it a red herring? That is that thing of like a made up...
Yeah, but I think... I can understand where it's coming from. The flip side of that, though, particularly in Melbourne and Sydney, and to a lesser extent Brisbane, is that there are a lot of, up until last year, there are a lot of people who are young adults, students or young adults, who are travelling in Australia on working visas, and it is obvious that they're from somewhere else, and in fact, they would probably like to talk about it.
Well, not only that, when people ask, at least when I ask, it isn't about asserting my, higher amount of Australian over you. Yeah. I'm interested in you, your language. I want to know where you're from. I want to know, it's a point of starting a conversation. It's not because I'm trying to intimidate you or make you feel bad about who you are. It's more... Tell me about you.
Yeah. I think the essence of this is that because Australia is a very multicultural country, don't assume because somebody does not look Northern European that they are not Australian.
Well, and I had a lot of friends who would be of Chinese descent where their parents were first generation migrants.
Great-grandparents.
Well, that's it. And they would quite often get pissed off with Chinese students in Melbourne just assuming that they spoke Mandarin or Cantonese or that they were Chinese. Right. And it was a very funny thing because they would be like, I'll just be on the tram and someone will just start speaking to me in Mandarin and I'll be like, but you speak Mandarin, and he's like, that's not the fucking point.
I know.
They just assume, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, it was funny. It was the reverse when your mum and I were in Wales a couple of years ago, and we went to one of the famous castles, and we were walking around, just come outside, and a woman came and asked us for directions, and she was a local, and she spoke Welsh, and I had no idea, nothing. I can read a little bit of Welsh and translate it in my head.
Good God.
But when somebody speaks it, you got nothing. And because every Welsh person speaks English as well. So it was just, sorry, we don't speak Welsh. Oh, all right. And she just went back off into asking us in English. But it was that really funny thing of
you got to actually
somebody in
Wales
like. Expects that every person that they speak to who looks like a Welsh person will speak Welsh. Yeah. So it's the reverse of that.
Number 9. Don't ask where the nearest Starbucks is.
Yeah, because the answer is fuck off, go to the next cafe.
Well, I think too. There was a story
there's
where
one in Melbourne, I believe.
Yeah,
there's a bunch that opened in Melbourne in particular, but they closed because nobody went to them because guess what? Every corner cafe does better coffee.
Well, that's it. It's sort of like if you were interested in good cuisine and going to decent restaurants, someone saying, where's the closest Macca's?
Yes.
And assuming that they were going to get really good food, you'd be like, well, dude, like maybe in a bind, you're in a crunch, you really, really need your coffee.
But the real answer is you're not going to find one.
Yep. So. Unless you're in a CBD.
Yeah. Then I think there's only one. So.
Don't assume there will be a gas station every few miles. And I love how they use miles. That instantly tells me an American wrote this.
American or British. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be kilometres.
Yeah.
Once you hit the highway or any place that can be designated as the outback, fill up wherever possible, whenever you can, and also don't refer to them as gas stations. They are servos.
Servos or petrol stations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's true, though. I think there's a few of these classic signs warning no fuel for 260 kilometres.
Or 500.
Yeah, exactly. Especially across like the Nullarbor, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's some places that if you want to drive through some of those that you actually have to carry fuel.
Because it's going to be
your
more than a
ordinary
tank.
Vehicle will not have enough fuel in the tank.
Is this why you have, say, a four-wheel drive that has 2 petrol tanks in it?
Yeah, mine carries 150 litres. So
Insane.
I can do 1,200 kilometres on a single tank. So I can drive to...
On both tanks, or is it just a single tank?
It's a single tank, but in mine. But I can drive to Adelaide and halfway back before I have to refuel. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
11. Don't bag Vegemite. Do you want to explain what the verb to bag means?
To bag means you are running it down, giving it a hard time, saying it's terrible, criticising it. You're not going to win friends in Australia if you criticise Vegemite.
That's if you're looking for a shoulder to cry on, you're not going to find many people who agree with you that are Australian.
No. Very few Australians will tell you that Vegemite's crap.
Well, that's it. And I can't imagine going to Brazil and saying, caipirinha sucks. Did you know caipirinha sucks? And you would just be like, what are you expecting? Sympathy from the average Brazilian who freaking loves caipirinha?
Hey, on a completely random one, thumbs up to Miley Cyrus.
Why is that?
She has a Vegemite jar tattoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently
Respect.
she got back together with Liam Hemsworth and she decided she'd celebrate that by putting Vegemite on her body. Literally.
Jesus Christ. And figuratively, yeah.
Yeah.
12, don't assume your sports are better than ours.
They're not.
Yeah. So what does it say
so
here?
you go to an AFL game or an NRL game, particularly an American who goes, or a cricket match and says, I don't understand this. It's not as good as baseball. Or if you're from Europe and you come here and you go into an AFL game and you go, this is crap. I much prefer soccer. Or they'd call that football, and rightly so.
I know. I get so over people having that argument of, AFL isn't football, soccer's football. And you're kind of like, look, there are so many sports where you kick the ball with your foot.
Yeah,
if we called all of them football, you miss the point. We get confused. The most common sport here where we currently are, where people kick a ball with their foot, is not soccer, it's AFL football. That is why we call it for short
footy.
Football.
Or footy.
Yeah.
You're never going to go to a soccer match and call it going to the footy.
Yeah.
You do that and going to the rugby league if you're in New South Wales or Queensland.
That confused me.
Or Southern Australia. Yeah, going to the footy, it'd be AFL.
Yeah. Do you get annoyed with people sort of bagging on AFL? I'm always surprised too at the...
It's just difficult to understand.
But I'm always surprised at how people almost have zero idea of what the sport is.
Yes.
And have never seen it before coming to Australia. I'm always like, there's just no coverage.
Very little.
I see
Very
ice hockey, and I have an understanding of a bunch of these other sports that are not done in Australia typically.
I know.
Because I watch TV, but I guess it's American TV.
Yeah, and there's very little. Yeah, well, I've travelled in America and Canada a lot, and there is very little coverage of AFL football.
Yeah. It's
Even less
pity.
rugby league.
It's a pity. Although we'd probably be whinging too if they all picked up AFL and suddenly started kicking our asses at us.
Good
at it.
Yeah, exactly.
13, don't smoke weed in public.
Yes, it is not legal in Australia.
Yeah.
That's enough said. Yeah.
It is in Canberra, right? I think you can grow your own.
You can grow your own. You can't smoke it in public, though, I don't think.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a weird one. Yeah. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
We'll catch up with the rest of the world eventually.
Well, I mean, it's like that in a lot of places in the US, obviously, and Canada. I had a friend just moved to Canada from Great Britain, from Ireland, and he was just like, man, it's great. I just go down the store, buy some weed, don't have to deal with drug dealers, and I just chill out at home. And I'm like not hurting anyone, and it's perfectly legal here. No one judges me.
Exactly.
14, don't champ anyone.
Hey, champ. Champ. Yeah.
This is one that's interesting. So I remember there was a guy who'd been in jail who used to train jiu-jitsu with me. And for him, this was one of the biggest insults that you could give him.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not.
You'd call him a champ. And it would be, I think that people, I've never been to prison, but I have a feeling that people would use it as a way of referring to you and pretending that you were, or insinuating that you were a homosexual.
Oh, really?
Calling you a champ. Yeah, no worries, champ.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but apparently that is why he was in the sort of rougher crowd in Australia. They will not use that term that way to be a positive thing, whereas other people can use that term. Like if I were to use it on someone, it wouldn't be to insinuate they were gay or as an insult. It would be, hey, legend, how are you going, mate? Hey, champ, no worries, champ.
I think though also that it's my evaluation, if you like, of where that has come from a lot has been from the boxing industry and boxing as a sport, where any boxer will refer to another boxer as champ, because the assumption is that we want to promote you to being a champion.
That's right. It comes from the word champion.
It comes from the word champion. And then people sort of looked at, well, I'm not a champion. I've not won anything.
So you're being sarcastic.
Yeah. And so it's that, that other side of it as well. So.
It's interesting how something like that, where here they say it may have started as a compliment, but in recent years the tone has changed to one of ambivalence at best and condescension at worst. So... yeah, it's all about how you mean it, the intention, I guess, behind your words, right? Yeah. More so than that. Exactly. Yeah, no worries, mate.
No worries, mate.
Yeah.
Well, it's that good on you.
Yeah,
which a lot of non-Australians, even British and Americans, can't hear the distinction. And I'll do it and see if you can hear the distinction. If Pete has done something really well, I'll say, good on you. Mm-hmm. Good on you. If he's done something really bad, or I'll say, good on you.
Mm-hmm. It's going down. Yeah.
And it's a very subtle distinction for many people. And I'll overdo it with good on you. Yeah. As opposed to, good on you.
Yeah. Wow, there's a little mini lesson in sarcasm.
Yeah.
15, don't call a walk a hike. Really?
No.
I'd call it a hike. I mean, not... I guess, a walk is a walk in terms of...
we're going for a walk means I'm going to walk 400 metres down to the shop and buy the bread and milk.
No, it's not a hike.
Going for a hike means I'm going to put the backpack on, put the hiking shoes on, I've got a walking stick. Yeah, exactly.
Get the GPS out. Yeah, exactly. All right. 16, don't ever refuse chicken salt.
I think this is...
Because it's an insult.
An insult, an insult. Oh, all right, delete that one.
Yeah, that's it.
Chicken salt it's basically chicken stock mixed in with salt. But it also often contains monosodium glutamate, MSG, which is both addictive and it is a flavour. I always love these flavour enhancers. Like people say, salt is a flavour enhancer. No, it fucking isn't. It just adds salt flavour. Mm-hmm. It doesn't enhance the flavour of the existing thing. But chicken salt does. It actually does. Your brain actually goes, ooh.
Yeah, give it a go, guys. Next time you get some hot chips.
But don't overdo it.
Yeah.
And if you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken in Australia and they give you salt, it's always bloody chicken salt.
Yeah, well.
So I always go to them and
Funny
say, can I have your chips without salt? And they look at me and go, I'll have to cook some new ones. And then when they do it, they pour it.
That's your job.
I know. And then they pour it straight into the big bowl that they've already had. And I said, no.
With no salt.
No, I don't want bloody salt on it. And that whole thing's piled up with gluggy chicken salt. So, I don't like chicken salt, so I'm unusual. But
I don't go out of my way, but
light sprinkling.
Yeah. I'm
like
not
Vegemite.
going to cry if it ended up on my chips by accident.
Yeah.
17, don't wait for someone to pump your petrol.
Yeah, you'll be sitting there for a long time.
I can't imagine that. Coming to the the servo, and then just being like...
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, my first job, it wasn't really an official job, but my father used to work at a servo, a weekend job. And when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I think I was 9 because I remember I first got my bicycle. I got it for my 9th birthday, and I would ride my bike about a mile or a kilometre and a half up to the servo on a Sunday afternoon and work there for a couple of hours, pumping petrol for people. So back in the 60s, people, you used to go out and there'd be an attendant there to pump your petrol. Not anymore. Every service station in Australia is
if you had a person working full time, like Kel was saying this, she's like, what the hell? You got to get out of the car and do all of this? In Brazil, you'd get it pumped for yourself. Like people put it in the car for you. And I'm like, because you don't have to pay them much.
I know.
That's why you guys have cleaners and people who can come and work at your house.
The other thing is if you're an American or a Canadian, but particularly people from the United States, you will not be able to pay by credit card at the pump. Yeah. And that's a difference because in most places in the United States, it's self-everything. You walk up, you swipe your credit card, you fill it, and you go click, and you drive away.
And why do you reckon that is in Australia?
Credit card fraud.
No, they want you to go through the store and buy the crap.
Of course it is, yes. Because in Australia, the manager or the owner of the petrol station, the servo, is probably making about 1 or 2 cents a litre on the fuel, but they will mark up, a can of Coke. You can buy these for $5. 50 cents a can if you buy them at the supermarket, but a can of Coke will cost you $3.50. So, yeah.
18, don't do Crocodile Dundee jokes.
No.
That's not a knife.
That's not a knife.
And not even Crocodile Dundee, but Paul Hogan jokes. Chuck another shrimp on the Barbie.
Yeah.
Fuck off, mate. Yeah. So I guess we should do a bit of explaining there. Crocodile Dundee is a movie from the 80s. I think this was 86 that it came out, the first one.
Like that, yeah.
And he's obviously the main protagonist. Yes. You guys have probably almost all seen Crocodile Dundee. It just gets tiring. You're so used to it, right? Yes. You're so used to it. Yeah. Same with Steve Irwin jokes and Crikey.
Crikey. Yes. And the fact is that nobody says Crikey.
No.
Steve Irwin used to do it poking fun at himself. But even, the Crocodile Dundee thing, that's not a knife.
We've heard it.
We've heard it
before.
Yes.
We got it.
It's like anybody called Grace when you call them amazing. They just you think that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, exactly. And the Paul Hogan thing is from he's the actor for this Crocodile Dundee character, and he was in an ad where he had to change the word shrimp. Prawn to shrimp because the Americans use the word shrimp for prawns. In Australia, we say prawns, we don't say shrimp, and so that became this
Chuck
whole
another
thing
shrimp on the Barbie, yes.
Like,
you mean throw another shrimp on the Barbie.
Throw another prawn on the
Barbie. If you're going to say chuck, it'd have to be prawn.
19. Don't actually tell someone the truth when they ask, how are you going?
Oh, yeah. How you going is a rhetorical question.
Good.
Yeah.
Or not bad.
Yeah, or you just not bad is always a good one. Yeah.
Not bad.
I've been better.
Yeah, it is true. I have to say that a lot of the time with greetings here in Australia, they always sound like they're trying to elicit
how you
more
going?
Explanation out of you.
How you going is just hello. You don't even... How you going, a suitable answer to that is hello.
You reckon?
Yeah, how you going? Oh, hello.
True.
Yeah.
I guess you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'm just, not looking for more.
Yeah, all right. How you going? Yeah, all right.
But if I were, I would push it further. I would say, but actually, how are you? How are you going?
Yeah, how are you going? Yeah.
Tell me how you've been. What's actually been going on?
Did you get over that broken leg?
Yeah, that's it. Did you get the tooth out of the board?
Yes.
Number 20, don't assume you'll see actual celebrities on TV shows with the word stars or celebrity in the title. Our definition is very, very broad. Case in point, Lindsay Lohan as a judge on a singing show where Wendell Saylor is a contestant.
Now, we probably have to explain who Wendell Saylor is. So, Wendell Saylor actually was a genuine star in sport. He was a rugby union and rugby league player, but genuinely not a singer. And Lindsay Lohan, while she was a sort of B+ grade actor in Hollywood, was not well known in Australia, and in fact knew nothing about Australia. And so I actually did watch a couple of episodes of that series, and every time they name, this could be such and such, you go, who's that? The other judges, they're Australian. Who is that? I've never heard of this person. So putting her on the emphasis of this show, just as a complete aside, the emphasis of this show was that they had to try and guess who the hidden celebrity was. And she didn't know even when they named them, or even when they showed them, she had no idea. So it was sort of like, why is she on this show? She must have been very cheap.
All right.
But I think that one about they don't expect to see celebrities, when you see star and celebrity, a lot of these people are sort of B-grade has-beens. With all due respect to them, they're perfectly good people, I'm sure.
Before we finish up, do you have any other ones that should have been on the list?
Oh, jeez.
Putting you on the spot.
What's number 21?
Yeah.
No. I would have said 20 years ago, don't try and say g'day.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
But because it was sort of try hard. But now I wouldn't say that, because now you go, you're giving it a go. You're having a go. You're trying to be, you're trying to be Australian, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or you're trying to say, I recognise that you are Australian.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm trying to resonate with you. I'm trying to show you that I have somewhat of an understanding of your culture, and I embrace it.
Yeah, it's like if I go to another country, and I haven't travelled to many countries where English is not the first language. Yeah. But even so, I try and learn some of the local vernacular and talk about
it's a respect
place
thing.
of If you go to particular southern states in the United States, you don't try and imitate their accent, but you try and use some of the words that they would use to describe things and so on.
Well, that would be one of just don't avoid using slang and don't avoid Australianisms. Just embrace it, dive in, get into it. Especially common ones like Barbie and servo. These are not things that, really Crocodile Dundee-esque Australians use. It's just everyone uses them to refer to these things. So don't avoid doing it, and it doesn't make you look like you're lower class or upper class or whatever. Just dive into the slang thing. Yeah, and I think learn to swear.
Fuck it. Learn to swear appropriately.
That's the key. Don't just learn to swear and then swear everywhere.
You wouldn't walk into a bank and say, give us some fucking money, because I think the alarms would go off and the police would arrive.
Context
Not
is
because
key.
you swore, but but yes.
All right. Well,
on that note,
thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Peace. Alrighty, you mob, thank you so much for listening to or watching this episode of The Goss. If you would like to watch the video, if you're currently listening to it and not watching it, you can do so on the Aussie English channel on YouTube. You'll be able to subscribe to that. Just search Aussie English on YouTube. And if you're watching this and not listening to it, you can check this episode out also on the Aussie English podcast, which you can find via my free Aussie English podcast application on both Android and iPhone. You can download that for free, or you can find it via any other good podcast app that you've got on your phone. Spotify, podcasts from iTunes, Stitcher, whatever it is. I'm your host, Pete. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a ripper of a day, and I will see you next time. Peace.